And good morning, everybody. Just getting set up here, running a few minutes late for the monthly reading and writing sprints, productivity sprints, as they are. I had been doing these weekly, and I decided to go to doing them monthly just so they don't get diluted and become just kind of bland. If it gets to the point where I need to go weekly again, then I'm happy to do that. But that's the plan for now. Is just the first Saturday of a month, I will get the sprint going. So because it's been a couple weeks since I've done one, I am just catching up on a lot of stuff. It's been kind of a busy time with work, but I've been managing to get a little bit of reading done, and I do have some videos that I need to shoot. I need to shoot my monthly wrap-up video, reading wrap-up video. So I need to at least do that. So I'll probably get that done. If not today, then probably tomorrow to have that ready for early next week. Actually, right now I'm reading the second book in the Truly Devious series. And so this has been kind of fun to read. So if I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I started reading the Truly Devious series. I've had the books for probably about a year or so, and I decided to finally pick up and read the first one. So I read Truly Devious. It was fun. It was much better than I had expected. I had some reservations about it. Thought it was going to maybe be too slow of a burn, and I wasn't going to be really excited about it. But I decided to jump into it anyway, and I ended up enjoying that particular book. So that was a lot of fun to read Truly Devious. And so since I have the other two books, and there's a fourth book in the Truly Devious series that kind of takes the series in a different direction, but still has the same main character. I thought, that one looked kind of good too, so I'll probably end up picking that one up. I think I already pre-ordered that one, but it's been a fun series to read, and so it's one I'm going to keep going, and we'll see where it takes us. So that's what I'm doing from a reading standpoint. From a writing standpoint, I am about 73,000 words into my horror story that I'm doing that's set at a summer camp, and it's got like a little bit of Friday the 13th, a little bit of Halloween 3, a little bit of Children of the Corn. So it's kind of got a lot of those elements in there. So I'm excited. And kind of, what's the one movie? Final Girl. It's got a little bit of that in it too. So, but it's got a lot of interesting elements. So I'm finishing that one up. 72,000 words in. It's probably going to take me another 10,000 words maybe to wrap it up. So looking at somewhere 80 to 85,000 words to finish that particular piece that I'm working on. So, which brings me to today's productivity sprint, which is largely going to be centered on me working on this story, but I'm also finishing up my outlining process for my 5-part dystopian series that is a blend of The Manchurian Candidate and The Hunger Games and the miniseries V, but without the alien component that V had. So, but it's going to be kind of along those lines. So I've never done that. So I'm doing the horror story, which I've never really written a horror story before, and then I'm writing this dystopian, and I've never really written dystopian before. So both are fun projects, and those are a big part of what I'm going to be doing this year. So the dystopian series, 5-part series, I want to have at least 2 books in the series written before I even think about publishing options. So that's where that's at. So hopefully people who are joining will have projects that they are working on today, and I need to get set up. My monitor is just acting, I have my external monitor set up, and it is not cooperating with me right now. So having some technical difficulties here with the external monitor. So hang on a second. Trying to get this, just makes it easier to do things if have that thing going here, but it's not cooperating with me right now for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's kind of like it's like the power source of it is kind of, for some reason, it's got like a defective power cord or something. So anyway, let me go ahead and do it this way. Get the clock going here. And get this thing started. So I use online-stopwatch.com, and I usually use the full screen option, which is definitely a lot easier when the external monitor is going. So let me see if I can get that back going again. I'm not sure why it's acting all crazy right now. It's usually not quite this difficult to get going. So anyway, let's do this. We got 15 minutes. Get that set. And share screen. Get that going. Well, let's see. Maybe it will let me. See if I can get that going. All right, let me go ahead and get it going right here. And all right, so if you got your project ready to go, then let's go ahead and get this party started with the first sprint. Okay, so we are at the end of sprint number 1. Let me get that off the screen here real quick and then get it reset for the next sprint as we get this thing going here. Hey, welcome Shay with the hobbies. I hope you are doing well this Saturday morning and I hope you're keeping busy. You got some good projects that you have been able to work on. Hope you, like everybody else, has had a good and productive week. Hopefully as either drama free or drama resistant as possible. I know that's sometimes easier said than done. But hey, I am so thankful to have you here with me, joining me. And let me go ahead and tally up what I was able to accomplish. I wrote 455 words during the first writing sprint. So 455 words for me. So that's pretty good. I am coming down to the stretch of the story, and the writing has been kind of fun. I'm getting to the heart of the mystery and the potential killers are the finger pointing at the potential killers is what I'm working on right now to kind of continue to build that tension. So that's been a fun part of it here, trying to work on that. But it's definitely a story that to publish, it's probably going to take several rounds of edits just to make sure that I get it the way that I want it. So there's going to definitely have to be some revision work. But it's been a lot of fun working on this particular story. So Nazy says neither drama free nor drama resistant due to work chaos for the past 2 weeks. Hopefully the sprint will help me to recalibrate. So that is a great thought, to be honest with you, because I've kind of felt that way too. It's just kind of nice to get to the weekend and to be able to recalibrate. I like that word because that's kind of how it feels like sometimes when you're in the midst of everything, even if it's not necessarily chaotic. It's somewhere in between chaotic and calm, and it's just kind of nice to be able to just kind of pull back a little bit and just kind of breathe and not have to worry about things to do. So it's one of the reasons the weekends is so fun. It's just to get to the weekend and just relax. And so that's why we should probably have 3-day weekends, just to give you a little extra time to be able to do that. Let's see. I am working on breakfast, but we'll be writing later. Good to hear. I did have breakfast a little bit earlier. I tried a somewhat new meal in the air fryer. So I did like these little like omelet bites. And I kind of used like the little muffin cups, little paper muffin cups. And so I put it in there and put it in the air fryer. It actually turned out pretty well. So I saw somebody do that on YouTube on one of the cooking channels, and it just seemed really good. So it was like a sort of like a casserole omelet kind of thing, and they're kind of in these little small bites and those little small muffin cups. So it actually turned out pretty well. So had a nice breakfast, woke up and got that done. I was a little bit impatient. I took them out of the air fryer before they were totally done. I should have toothpicked them to make sure that they were totally done. So I ended up having to take them out. I shut off the air fryer too soon and ended up having to microwave them a little bit. So lesson learned, let your air fryer work fully. Follow the recipe. Sometimes I get stubborn and don't follow recipes. All right. So the story is going well for me. I got 455 words done. As I mentioned, I'm at about 73,000 words deep into this story, and I'm thinking it's going to be anywhere from 80 to 85,000 words that it's going to take me to get to the end to really have a huge punctuation mark, if you will, at the end of the story. So that's what I'm working on right there. And then, as I said, I'm finishing up the outline for my 5-part series, and that's going pretty well. So definitely excited about getting started with that project. I am looking at having at least 2 of those books written before, as I said, I even think about any publishing opportunities. So there's going to be a lot of work to be done, but I'm hoping to have a big summer of work as I really dive into this series, this 5-part series. And so I kind of couldn't resist, and I started the first part, the first chapter, and so I like the way the first chapter is going. So that's hopefully a positive thing, that the first chapter is going really well, and I'll be able to keep that momentum going. So, but I want to think through the very beginning, because with a 5-book series, I want to make sure that I not only know where I'm going, but how I'm going to get there. And part of how I'm going to get there is going to be having a good start. So I think that's going to be something that definitely sets the tone. So I want to make sure that the start is on point. All right. So let's get ready for productivity sprint number 2. So that's what's coming up here right now. And I hope whether you are working on some good breakfast, or you got some writing that you want to do, or some outlining, or some reading. As I mentioned, the book that I'm reading right now is the second book in the Truly Devious series, The Vanishing Stair. So this has been fun. Truly Devious was fun. I am truly glad that I started reading that book. It was really a fun piece to start reading. So I'm really glad I was able to jump into that one. So without further ado, as we are at about 11:05 Eastern time, let me throw the clock back up here, and gonna get going here with sprint number 2 this morning. Okay, so let me tally up here. Let me move this thing off the screen right here and reset it. All right, so I got in. Let me do this before I check in with some commenters here. 508 words for me during the second productivity sprint. So productivity is one of those like easy words that I always stumble when I'm trying to spell. So forgive me for that one if I may sometimes screw that one up. So Aces English, welcome this morning. As I mentioned, things are going pretty well for me. I'm doing really well, getting close to 74,000 words into this story that I'm finishing up. And I think it's going to take about 80,000 words to wrap it up and bring this puppy in and then get started on my next project, which is going to be one of the biggest projects I've ever worked on in terms of knowing what I want to do at the start and seeing what I want to have done by the end. So really excited to get started with that one. Aces English says, I hadn't written a word since winning NaNoWriMo. Oh, first, congratulations for winning NaNoWriMo. That is quite an accomplishment when you really think about it, to get that many words, 50,000 words done in a month. That is nothing to sneeze at. That is a pretty significant accomplishment. And then he mentions until starting Camp Nano, I'm working on my memoir this month. So congratulations on that. I don't know if I've ever thought about really writing a memoir. But man, it does sound, I think a lot of times we have cool stories to tell, stories that could maybe inspire, that could be cautionary, that could accomplish any number of things. And sometimes we don't realize what's in us until we start writing it. So whether you publish it or not, it could be, it's probably going to be a very positive experience. And so I wish you well in that project. That sounds like a really cool project to work on. All right, let's see. Margaret, welcome. Margaret is representing the West Coast for us as she says, hello, late morning risers. I was up and on YouTube before you started your sprint. That seems like a sign that maybe I'm on here too much. Maybe, but I am glad to have you in the house here this evening, or this morning, I should say. So, shows you how long a day it was yesterday. So yesterday, I was pretty busy yesterday. It was a non-work day. We were on mid-semester break, so I still ended up doing work in the morning because there were just things that carried over from Thursday. So I ended up working at least a little bit in the morning, and but then I was like tired because I was up all night. I misplaced my debit card, and so I was like, when that happens, I'm like obsessed about it. Like, it's hard for me to like go to sleep until I can resolve the situation. So I didn't resolve it, and long story short, I had to just declare it lost and get it replaced. And so yeah, so that cost me a lot of sleep Thursday night. But thank you, Margaret. Doesn't mean maybe you're not on here too much, but then again, there's just so much. There's an endless amount of content, and you can never catch up fully on everything, it would seem. Shay with the hobbies is still working on breakfast. I hope it's a good breakfast because you're kind of letting us know that maybe you got something really good going on for breakfast. So, and then there's, of course, mine. I got 508 words done during that sprint. So I'm coming up on about 1,000 words total so far during the first two sprints. You are welcome. Kind words, you deserve those kind words, because again, that's a cool project. And again, I haven't really thought that much about it, but the more I do think about it, maybe I used to, when I was in high school. I used to keep a journal, and I actually still have them. They were in these old composition books, and I used to keep that journal. I wish looking back on it now, I wish I'd maintained them a little bit more diligently. for all those years, but I did not. So that's the bad news. The good news is that a lot of that stuff is just still in my head. So noodles for breakfast. Ooh, very, very interesting. I'd be curious to hear how those are prepared for breakfast. I never thought about that for breakfast. Let's see. Margaret says, I'm the same way when I misplace a piece of paper that I know is right here somewhere. It's funny because when I went to the bank, because I just, on the off chance that somebody got a hold of it and is up to, no good, had some dirty stuff on their mind, I said, you know what, I'm screw it. I'm just going to go and I'm just going to declare it missing, get it shut down, and then just get a new one. So it cost me a few bucks, but they printed me a new card right there in the bank, and so I just got it taken care of. So there weren't very many people in there on was it Friday morning? Yeah, that was Friday morning. So there weren't very many people in there. So I got it done. But yeah, I was up all night. I tore my house up. I went through every corner of the house. I went through every piece of clothing, went through the garbage can, went back through my car. My car is like only a few months old, so there's basically nothing in my car or my SUV, whatever you want to call it. So I went through that. There was nothing in there. I went through every room in the house, went into the basement, even though it wouldn't have been in the basement. And I'm like a detective. I'm like retracing my footsteps. Like, where was I at when I last? And then you work your way backwards or work your way forwards from where you last remember using it to where you are currently. And so basically I went to the drive-through at a fast food restaurant, and that was the last time I used it. And then it just and then I needed it again for something, and I went there and I looked where I usually always put it, and it wasn't there. And I'm like, oof. So I'm just like retracing my footsteps, retracing my movements, and tore the whole house up. Got some cleaning and reorganizing done in the process. So there was some good that came out of it. And then finally, I just tapped out and went to bed. I don't know, like 3:30 in the morning. Went to bed, woke up, did another quick look, checked some places where normally it would be, couldn't find it. Went to the bank and told the teller at the bank, who I know, and I talked to the teller at the bank, and I said, I'm probably going to find it as soon as I go home. And she was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of what happens for a lot of people. But that did not happen. I still haven't found it. So, but anyway, it's done. It's gone. It's useless to anybody who may acquire it in some way. Let's see. Take a slow day today then to recover sanity equilibrium. It is probably a good day for that. And I think largely that's what it's going to be. I'm probably going to go out and do some photography. Our college softball team is playing, and softball is a sport that I love shooting because it's a challenge. So I'm going to go out and get some photography in, get some fresh air. Should be a nice day out, 50s, 60s. Now, if you're in Florida, 50s and 60s is probably like a cold wave. But for here in early April, so you get up in the 60s, and that's like summer. So you probably see a lot of people out. We'll probably see a lot of people out in shorts because it's if it does in fact get into the 60s. So yeah, I'm gonna go out and shoot some softball today. Softball is a fun sport to shoot. It's a challenge to get great photos, and so I'm excited about going out there and taking that opportunity. I shot volleyball last night. In case you're probably picking up on it right now, photography is one of my other hobbies that I really enjoy doing. And so if you look at my Facebook, you look at some of my Twitter, sometimes you'll see some of those photos on there, as that's a place where I like to put them, post them for people who like to see them. So I shot volleyball last night. Volleyball is one of the toughest sports to shoot photos of, and I did okay, but still need some work to get that where I want it. So let's see. Margaret says 60s yesterday here, and I was sweating on my walk with fleece. Yeah, it's funny because where was I? What did I go shoot one day? I went to some outdoor event and I shot, and I went to soccer. I was shooting photos of soccer. So I went out to soccer, and it was kind of cool. So I had on a pair of like wind pants, so the wind, the kind that sound like paper when you're walking. And then I had on a pair of like sweatpants, like what you think of with sweatpants underneath. So I had two layers right there, right? And so I had on like a fleece zip up jacket. And at first I went out there and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be feeling good. I'm gonna be nice and warm. Got my cameras and everything. And then as the game went on, it started to warm up a little bit, and I'm like, whew, man, I'm starting to sweat. I'm glistening. I guess women say you're glistening, guys say you're sweating. And so I'm like, man, it's getting kind of warm out here. But you can't really take any layers off. So yeah, I was sweating or glistening, whatever you want to call it. Let's see. Shay with the hobby says, yeah, it's 50s, 60s here, and I hate it. Are you in a warm weather climate? You might be coming with something later. So it's fun. 50s or 60s, like it's like if it's warm, if you're like in a warm weather climate. My brother lives in the South, and so he lives in like a warm weather climate where they're running their air conditioning like almost year round. And then you have up here, so 50s and 60s down there is like cold. And then up here, you get to 50s and 60s in April. I mean, that's like people are like outside in shorts, tank top, short sleeve shirts, and they're doing cartwheels all up and down the street. Shay with the hobby says, I love photography. Cool. Do you love it like you admire it, or do you actually do photography? I'm just curious to find out about that. Shay says, also I'm making turkey sausage and that sounds really good. That sounds really good. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had turkey sausage before. I got some turkey burger, but I don't know if I ever used it. I wanted to try it, but I never actually used it. But I've just always been curious about the taste. So I might have to try it and see how it tastes. Well, no, it was turkey burger, not turkey sausage. Let's see. It was going to be turkey, but apparently I'm out and had to improvise. Hey, sometimes when you're out of something and you prepared yourself for a certain kind of food, and then you find out that you're out of it, and then you just have to make do with what you have right now. So let's see. Margaret says, here with the hobbies, that is some feasting to be had in G. Sandy. That is some layers. Yeah, but you know what, though? The thing about it was some layers, but the thing about where our soccer field is, the wind just whips through, and you get like these gale force winds, and it's like, even if it's like kind of warm, once the clouds come over and they block the sun, it feels like, it feels like late January. And then all of a sudden the sun peaks out and it feels like March or April. Then the sun fully comes out and it feels like May or early June. And so you get like all four seasons in a matter of like half an hour. Let's see. Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma. Okay. I don't think I've ever been to Oklahoma. I think the closest I've been to Oklahoma is probably Iowa or Nebraska. Oh, Texas. I was in Dallas, Texas before. So that's probably the closest I've been to Oklahoma. Let's see. I started a photography business in undergrad to pay for my books. Oh, very nice. Very, very cool. Yeah, that is awesome. I've had people ask me about that, but I've never actually done that. But I've had people ask me to shoot events because I do most of the photography that I do is like nature photography. So I go on walks and you get like birds and trees and sunbursts and buildings and stuff like flowers and stuff like that. But then I also shoot sports. That's kind of where I got started with photography, is shooting sports. So that's still a big passion for me, is shooting sports. So I shoot a lot of sports at a given time or in a given year. So like I said, I've shot volleyball last night. I'm going to shoot softball this afternoon. It's funny. So my two favorite sports, I don't get to shoot as much, basketball and football, because I do those on the radio. So I'm on the radio in the booth, well too far away to be doing photography. So, but cool. That is a really cool thing that you did. photography business. And hey, to pay for books, as much as books cost, even years ago. I mean, as much as books, the way books cost now, it's just unbelievable how much textbooks cost for college now. It's incredible what they charge for textbooks. That's a whole nother video right there, a whole nother topic, and another area of YouTube. I'm sure many people have touched on that as one of the little side expenses of what was it was an episode of the Cosby Show, and they were talking about paying for college or something like that, and they were talking about, yeah, you pay all this money in tuition and you don't even get books. So yeah, books are on the side for those of you who haven't started college yet. You never start saving too soon, so we're going to debt. All right, so good conversation. Appreciate everybody jumping in. I'm going to go ahead and jump into productivity sprint number 3. So let me go ahead and get that going. So if you got a project that you're working on, now's the time to jump into it. We'll go for 15 minutes during this particular sprint. If you guys got still things you want to talk about in the chat, go ahead and pop it in the chat. It's really informal. I'm at a good spot right here where I'm finishing it up. So I'm just continuing to work on this story. So if you got things to say, just go ahead and pop them in the chat, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. If I move my head over this way and I can see the chat. So I got a computer screen right here, got a computer screen right here, and I got an external monitor over here that you guys can't see. So this is my setup here. It sounds more spectacular than it looks. If you saw how messy this desktop is, you'd be like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I have the fake trees and plants around me to distract. Let's see. Margaret says, gonna go back to video watching, but have a great rest of your recovery day, Sandy. Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate you stopping by. And Margaret is one of my collaborator partners, and we do a monthly productivity sprint, a group with Margaret Pernard and then Steph from Coffee Over Apples. So 2 of my favorite YouTubers, working on some other collaborative opportunities here as well to try to get that going. So Dia Rob says a bit shy, but I'm writing right now too. That's an interesting point. That was one of the reasons I started writing. I was a really quiet person when I was much younger, when I was in high school. And so writing was like a good way to express and to say what's on your mind and to be creative. And so I was one of those, creative type thinkers. And so being a kind of a quiet person, writing was like the escape, because I wasn't like an extroverted person. I'm still not really. I mean, I probably seem like it to you guys that are watching me, but I'm not the most extroverted person, at least in terms of interpersonal communication with others. So this is a way to kind of force me out of my comfort zone, so to speak. So writing is a great method for expressing yourself. So embrace it and enjoy it, and be creative and have fun with it. Okay, so productivity sprint number 3. Let me get the clock back up into the stream. So we're going to run for 15 minutes. And again, if you guys have stuff in the chat, just go ahead and drop it in there, and I'll get to it as soon as I see it, unless it's something that's like really deep, and then I might have to wait. But I'll probably jump into whatever you guys have to say. So thanks to everybody who's come through during the time that we've had today. I'll probably be on here until about noon. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap out because I got a couple things I need to do today. I need to get over in, as I mentioned, I'm going to do some photography at about 1 o'clock. So I'll need to work my way out of here. So that's that. And with that, let me go ahead and get started with productivity sprint number 3, our third and final productivity sprint of this morning session. So we are at about a little over an hour in, hour and 3 minutes in to be exact. And so with that, let's go ahead and get this next productivity sprint started, and we'll go from there. So happy productivity sprint for everybody. Hope that you can find ways to be productive during this sprint, and just have fun. That's what Saturdays are for, right? Relaxing, having fun, and maybe sometimes catching up on things around the house. I got to do some dishes here at some point today. All right, here we go. Okay, so that was let me get this off the screen real quick. So that was for me 618 words for me during the final sprint of the morning. So definitely very productive for me to have the sprint. And I ended up with, let's see, I had 618 and I had a little over 500 and then a little over 400. So probably getting pretty close to about 1,500 words, right around 1,500 words total for me during the 3 sprints. So that was that's a pretty typical goal for me. Generally speaking, I like to get about um, 500 words on average during the sprint. So I definitely feel pretty good about that one. That was definitely my best sprint. I'm in a really good place. And again, I'm building tension toward the end here. So basically in act 3 of the story. And so it's getting to a really fun part here where I start to resolve some of the questions that I've had out there floating around. So let's see. Aces English with 504 words. Congrats. That is a solid, very solid sprint. And so very, very good to hear that. And so once you get in that nice writing groove, it feels like really fun when it's flowing very nicely for you. So yeah, so great, great work there, Aces English. So here's the thing. So I was doing these weekly sprints, and it was kind of up and down in terms of how they were going. So I started this month. I said I was going to go to monthly, but I might pop up and have some sprints depending on how things are going, especially when I get started with this first book in the dystopian series that I'm getting ready to write. So I might want to have you guys join me for the start of that journey. Although I've actually kind of technically started it, but I want to kind of have like some documentation of where I'm going with this particular piece that I'm working on. So yeah, so this the horror story, I'm at 74,000 words, a little over 74,000 words. So I'm in a really good spot, and probably about 6,000 to 8,000 words away from wrapping this bad boy up. And feeling pretty good. This one's going to take a lot of editing because I shifted gears a few times. I had two major gear shifts before I started it because I was originally going to have it be a fan fiction story, and then I scrapped that and I decided to turn it into my own story, and so I had to totally rework it to turn it into my own story. Then once I got into the story a little bit, I decided to go in a different direction and have it join a series that I have, a book set that I have around a particular character. So that was a major shift, and that was probably about, I don't know, probably a few hundred words into, not a few hundred, yeah, probably about a few thousand words in. I made that second major shift. So it's strangely enough, it's worked. So I'm feeling really good about that. So that's where it's at. Let's see if you need a beta reader. I'd love. Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I might indeed take you up on that because I have been looking into getting some beta readers to look over some things, and just you need that impartial other set of eyes that can say what you maybe have missed because you're so focused on the content. So I appreciate that, Aces English, and I might indeed take you up on that. So if you I don't know if you're a Twitter user, but you can definitely find me on Twitter. So you guys can find me on Twitter there if you guys want to engage with me. Outside of YouTube, that's where you find me. It's pretty simple, my first and last name. So fortunately, nobody else have my first and last name, and if they did, they didn't grab it because they did grab it on Yahoo. Somehow, somebody had my name on Yahoo, and somehow somebody had my name on Gmail. So I had to go to different options, and on don't even know, do they call it Hotmail anymore? I don't know what it's called now, but somebody had it there too. Let's see. Good productive sprints for me this morning. The momentary return to calm really restored my sanity. So, well, I'm glad that we could help you restore your sanity. I will tell you, we had a 3-day weekend because it's our Easter is our mid-semester break. So, and because of COVID, the students didn't get the normal spring break that they typically get. So, so we had the mid-semester break, and so faculty and staff like me, we don't get spring break anyway. So, well, maybe faculty do, but staff like me, we don't get spring break. So, it came at a good time. And I know a lot of people who are workaholics. This is a time when everything is kind of shut down. It's probably one of the best times to just kind of get away, because you get to certain positions, it's just the work is just is nonstop. It just keeps going, and you have to literally tell yourself to stop and slow down. And so when you have breaks like this, where you don't have to like put in for your vacation day or your PTO or whatever you guys have, when you have these days where everything stops, it makes it a lot easier. And I actually had that conversation with a colleague yesterday. I think we had that conversation. So it's really nice to have these shutdown days. Good. Yeah. Aces English, definitely find me there. Any of you guys who come through and you want to find me on Twitter, I have several Twitter feeds. This one right here, my main one, is just a kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of things, just a lot of viewpoints, and a little bit more in terms of my reading and writing. I'm trying to transitioning it to focus more on that, to have a little bit more of a focused approach to that Twitter account. So so that's something I'm definitely working on to try to make sure that I keep that going. So you can see my little icon there. It's got my little icon there. You can, here, let me see if I can get it right there. That's me broadcasting during a basketball game. So you can kind of see that a little bit right there. So, but anyway, let's get ready to close this one out. So we're coming up on about 87 minutes in. So I'm going to get ready to wrap it up. So thank you, everybody who came through here today. When it was really popping, we had some good conversation going. So I really appreciate that. I will be back here at the beginning of May. That is the plan. So we're going to go first Saturday of each month is going to be our big productivity sprints. So please join me. I'm going to do a better job of promoting it beforehand and really working on kind of building this audience. And so be on the lookout for that. Also, be on the lookout for more videos coming up on the channel. I'm going to be filming my wrap-up video for the month of March. So be on the lookout for that. I'm probably going to film that either today or tomorrow. I'm not going to have this book finished in time, but The Vanishing Stare, the second book in the Truly Devious series, I wanted to try to have that one done before the to finish up the month of March, but that did not happen. Life got in the way, work got in the way, so I wasn't able to get to finish that one. And then I have the third book in the series. It's around here somewhere. And then this is the third book in the series. And so I'm going to eventually get to this book as well. So, so lots going on right now in terms of reading and writing. So join me again first Saturday of each month. So be on the lookout for the YouTube link that'll pop up here at some point, probably when I get a little bit closer. That will be something that I will get into. And that first, it actually is going to be May 1st. So it'll be Saturday, May 1st will be the next official time. I might jump on here again at some point. We shall see. But so hopefully you guys can join me at that point. Nazy says, good productive sprints for me this morning. The momentary return to calm really restored my sanity. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Aces English says, we'll hook up with you there. Let's see. Do you teach writing at the college? No, actually, I work in public relations. So but I did take a lot of writing courses, and I actually took a creative writing course years ago. I took one, and it was really inspiring. I had a piece that I had been working on, and I ended up taking this creative writing course. And I wish, in retrospect, I'd stayed down that path in terms of creative writing to maybe eventually teach creative writing. So, kind of wish I had thought about doing that. Let's see. Dia Rob says, thank you for streaming. Yeah, please, consider joining us, rejoining us on the first of each month. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And, I try to really work on keeping things going as much as I can to keep the content as fresh without getting burned out. So, yeah, it's a balancing act for sure to try to maintain that balance. So again, I'm going to be working on my wrap up video for the month of March, and I usually do the wrap up video and I do the TBR video back to back. I usually do them at basically the same time. So I almost forgot to mention, I got to do my TBR for April. So need to figure out what books I'm going to read in April. I know I'm going to finish The Vanishing Stair, and then I want to finish the Truly Devious series. So those are definitely two books that'll be on my TBR for the month of April of 2021. So with that, thanks everybody for coming out and joining me here this morning as we get, or actually it's the afternoon now. So we have passed at least the Eastern time. We've passed from the morning to the afternoon. So I need to get going because I got to get ready to go do some photography. So I got to get out to the field. So thanks everybody for joining. And remember, Saturday, May 1st, I believe it is, for my next productivity sprint. Let me just verify that. Make sure I got that date on point. So yeah, it'll be Saturday, May 1st. Barring any unforeseen situations that might occur. And we'll be back with some productivity sprints. So looking forward to having you guys join me. I look forward to hopefully get a chance to promote it a little bit more aggressively on Twitter. I wanted to try to work out the kinks of how I do this to make sure I have everything on point so that I can put forth the best program possible under the circumstances. So thanks to everybody, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your day and have a great rest of your weekend. Try to relax as much as possible. We know how much stress is out there, so hopefully everybody can find their ways to decompress. And so yes, Nazy, thank you. See you on May 1st. So anyway, everybody have a good rest of your Saturday and enjoy. Get some relaxation in. You got some chores around the house, get those done too. If it's nice weather wherever you are, then do your best to get outside and enjoy some of this good weather. I'll see you next month.